Hello everyone, welcome back to another game of Pokemon Auto Chess. I've been thinking, and if you guys have any cool ideas for any comps or builds I should try that might be niche or off meta, definitely leave them in the comments. I'm always looking for new things to play, and that would be much appreciated. Also, if you notice anything in my gameplay that maybe I missed or you have questions about, don't hesitate to ask about it. I will be happy to answer, and I'm always trying to get better, so that would also be much appreciated. Looks like I end up with some electric mons and a Pichu double and a Flaffy. I'm not sure why I recently have been ending up with so many electric starts. Definitely can be pretty strong, especially if you have nice AD items to pair with them for an early game win streak. But I would say that vertical electric isn't my favorite thing to play. But either way, when you're early game in the first couple stages, it's really good to pick up as many pairs as you can. Even if you have no synergies active or if you're not planning to go in that direction, having that win streak early on and then pivoting with your extra gold is always a very good option. I have two Nackleys, and Knackley is a very strong early game Pokemon. I guess not so much in its base baby form, but when you evolve it into a Knackle stack, it puts in a lot of work. Its ability is pretty powerful, giving your adjacent allies shield and burning opponents who are, I think it's like water, steel, and something else type. So it's kind of conditional, but still very strong. Make a little bit of a mistake there by not selling the other Knackley in time, because I would rather hit 10 econ, as I already have a pretty strong pair of second stage mons. But I kind of flub it. It's okay, it was only 1 gold. Because it has such a strong electric start, I kind of just play to what I'm given and get a charcoal. I already have 2 magnets, which is fantastic. And here I have a tough decision to make. I think a lot of people here would just slam the Choice Band Shell Bell combo, which I am definitely tempted to do. Especially on a Pikachu that is pretty much a pretty much a guaranteed early game win streak, unless someone else has a crazy high roll. But in this case, because I'm not sure what comp I'm going to be playing, I'm kind of committing more towards my late game build. So I actually use those magnets as backline items, and I slam that heart scale onto Pikachu just for a little bit more tankiness. I think the Choice Band Shell Bell combo can work late game in certain comps, like it's really good on Fossil and Rock, but in most other comps, the opponents just scale way too much to really stack up, and it could really be a little bit sad to see your main carrymon with 3 whole items slammed on it just die instantly. So that's why I opt to go for planning for the long term rather than an early game win streak. But my items are still pretty strong, especially now that I have a Red Orb. Red Orb is one of the best early game items you can make. That also scales really well in the late game, giving you plus 10 AD and 25% of your basic attack damage as true damage. I really liked also going for a crit cast combo, or not cast, just a crit combo with the Razor Fang Razor Claw, as you saw in my last video. But in this case, I decided to go for the Red Orb because it's a little bit more consistent. It does better against people who build Rocky Helmet or go Rock Synergy. And I didn't even see the ad picks, but there is a Capsicum in my shop, and I happen to have pretty perfect items for a backline carry with Capsicum's Curry. And so that's a no-brainer. I pick it up immediately. Capsicum games are so polarizing. Once it's in the lobby, pretty much everyone will try to go for it if they can. And in that case, you really have to prioritize stuff like Shiny Charm or Rocky Helmet. But honestly, Rocky Helmet sometimes doesn't even help that much. This guy's going fighting, so my red orb will do pretty well into that. Of course, their Monferno is super strong with their Choice Band and Rocky Helmet, so I don't stand a chance against that now. I do have some Flora Mons, so Capsicid and Flora, like Gourmet, they do have a pretty good overlap and stuff like Cherrim or even a Combi if it's added, so I think about it, but I decided to sell it off. Right now I'm really looking for a third electric unit. I'm not quite sure if I rolled past any yet, but I am kind of at an awkward zero synergy spread, more so relying on my strong units to carry me, and I seem to be winning and losing in alternation, which isn't the most efficient thing to do early game. There is also a Dewpider that's added, so I'm already thinking about going. Ideally, my preferred comp would be Gourmet Amorphous with maybe an Alcremie. That would be very, very powerful. And I see a Slugma, which fits very well with my idea to go Gourmet Amorphous because it is Fire type, matching with Capsicid, as well as Rock, which matches with Nacli. So I'm happy to pick that up, and I can already tell you people in this lobby are going to be gunning for either Amorphous or Gourmet, and I'm one of them. It would be good to get some early rolls in to try to secure myself some Dewpiders. Looks like Thomas Wang might have been the one to add it because he already has one. And he's looking pretty strong. He has level 5 already and a pretty nice spread of Amorphous and Bugs and Water, as well as a Glaceon. But he's relatively unitemized. He spent resources on 2 Synergy Stones, so my powerful Flaffy actually manages to clean up, doing an extreme amount of damage. Gyarados round comes around, and right now I'm trying to splash in Amorphous first and foremost, and Gourmet if I can. So I'm kind of shifting my Pokemon around. If you didn't know the way the portals are opened up, I forgot the exact amount, but I'm pretty sure it's the top 5 or 6 synergy bumps that you have active are opened as portals. But if you don't have 5 or 6 active, like for me I only have 1 bump of Amorphous, 1 bump of Fire, then it pulls from, I think, another random, whatever amount you have left, it pulls from the rest of your synergies. So that's why even if I don't have Gourmet active, there's still a chance for me to open a Gourmet portal just by having a Gourmet mon in. So here, my perfect Pokemon would be Alcremie or Castform. I actually think Castform is more fun and consistent. Alcremie kind of takes a little bit to get online. There's a very juicy double Amorphous portal there, but I ended up missing out. I could have taken the Gourmet portal, but I do have some rocks, and so getting a Shuckle would be nice as well. And there also is Shieldon that's added, so if I do get a Fossil Rock, which I do see an Aerodactyl here, that could also be an option. Sadly, I don't get Shuckle, or I don't get Spiritomb, which is also Rock Amorphous, and would fit pretty well with my team. I have a little bit of thinking to do. Right now, the 2 things I'm deciding between are Lunatone and Aerodactyl. Lunatone is a very strong mon. I'm pretty sure it got nerfed though, because I'm pretty sure it used to give a lot more team-wide AP whenever it casted. But that's definitely a good nerf. It definitely felt pretty damn strong, especially if you had a lot of AP or crit cast on it. I do end up going with the Aerodactyl, because it's looking like my initial plan of going full Amorphous Gourmet isn't panning out too well. But Rock does really well against Amorphous and Gourmet, against especially Capsicid. This guy's living my dream right now. Monty found the Fire Form, Cast Form, which is exactly what I had been looking for. It boosts your team's attack every time it casts, as well as shields them, so it could be super powerful if you have some casting items on it. But alas, I'm going rock this time. So yeah, rock can also tank. The Capsicid hits really well. Here, I really wanted the Dwebble. That would have fit pretty well with my synergies as well. It's a pretty strong rock unit. But I do want the black glasses because the Flaffy currently has a magnet on it, so I can't slam the item yet. I do not want to go Razor Fang here because even though the loaded dice does give me luck, the chances of me creating still aren't super high. And of course, when I do create, it'll be a lot stronger than if I have a Razor Fang. But I'd rather have that consistent damage and melt them down. I'm already doing more than enough with the Red Orb, so I prefer having the Razor Claw instead, which is why I'm waiting on slamming that item. Sadly enough, I can't slam it now because the item slot's full. It looks like I'm beating Law's early game Psychic team, but this Abra is being a nuisance and actually snipes my Flaffy. And at this point, there's nothing else my team can do. It's healing up with human synergy and kiting my very slow rock Pokemon. So I take a pretty sad loss to Law, which is scary because I think his team counters mine the best at this point. If he gets some shiny charms or some nice defensive items, then he always goes Psychic. Law is like a Psychic main. He will be able to blow me up because Rock doesn't give special defense. So I do see a Misdreavus added as well as a Munchlax. I really love Munchlax when I'm playing Gourmet. This time I'm not going full Gourmet, so I'm a little bit less excited to see it. But the thing about Munchlax is it kind of sucks if you're not the one that adds it initially, because it's a 2-stage epic unit and it is extremely difficult to find. So the chances of you rolling and finding it are super slim. If you get lucky, that's awesome, but man, I spent so many rolls before trying to find a Munchlax. And the reason you want to get it early is because if you give it a Chef Hat and have it cook, he gains, I think, 30 permanent max health every single round, which is increased even more to like 37.5 if you have a big eater belt on it, which is very possible because it is normal Gourmet. So you can get a Silk Scarf and craft that item relatively easily. Looks like Avocado's Iron Thorns just explodes my team. But that's okay. I'm still not very strong yet. I'm really gunning for a different backline carry right now. I just had the Flaffy in because I don't have anything better. But Misdreavus would be my preferred choice. It's I could still go Amorphous this game. I do find a Snom though, which is also a super nice mon. And with that, I can craft a Choice Band for my Aerodactyl. I know I said Choice Band wasn't super good earlier, but as you can see, I do have Rock, and hopefully I can splash in some Fossil later with the shield on. So in this case, Choice Band is an item that will still scale decently well in the late game, because the main struggle with Choice Band is it doesn't give you any upfront defense. So really powerful auto attackers will still burst you down before you can scale with it. But because I'm going Rock, I will have a lot of upfront defense, which will give me a lot of opportunity to stack that Muscle Band and increase my attack speed by a lot. Luckily, we end up beating this early game Amorphous team. I'm getting a lot of Knackleys, which is really nice. Garganacl is a pretty bulky and strong Pokemon, and especially against all these burst heavy teams, having a powerful frontline will be the difference maker in whether or not I can survive. I like Snom a lot, especially after the buff. It used to be 2 range and it had a pretty useless ability. I think it was the same as Caterpie's ability, where it would just paralyze for a little bit, single target, which really isn't terrible. Actually, now that I think about it, it's pretty much the same Pokemon as Snorunt now. It has very similar stats. I think it has maybe a little bit more AD with a little bit less speed, but the ability is pretty similar. It's just a wide row of ice that shoots out in a straight line that freezes Pokemon that it, I think it has a chance to freeze Pokemon that it touches. So I definitely could have slotted in a Snorunt here as well, but I haven't found one. I think Snorunt probably, if you don't have any ad picks like Mischievous or Snom, or you're not in a bug region for like Volcarona, then I definitely think that Snorunt is your best bet for a Capsakid backline carry until you get a strong legendary, or maybe your unique is pretty good. Anyways, I find a Vanillish, so I get Ice 2 active, as well as Gourmet 4, which means now my Aerodactyl will also be Giga boosted at the very start of the match. Fighting is a little bit scary with this Infernape because it kind of knocks my front line away. I could counter that with a heavy duty boots, which prevents your Pokemon from getting displaced, but we actually luckily managed to take out the Infernape, leaving only the Machoke behind. But he's very tanky. My crits are a little bit useless against him because he has a Rocky Helmet, so the Machoke actually solos the rest of my team. Definitely a little sad. I thought I had it in the bag, but I'm still at 59 health, so plenty of time to scale. I'm thinking about splashing in some rock here. I have a Bonsly and Ragnarola. I don't believe I am in a Cherrim region, so might not be most useful to have light. But Bonsly also is a 2-stage epic unit, so pretty hard to find if you need it. So I end up picking it up while I can see it in my shop, and I slot him in for Rock 4. I think it's probably stronger than Gourmet 4 at this point because it does give a lot more defense to my front line, which lets my Snom whittle them down. And looks like it worked pretty well against Kaploop, especially because his Ponyta has a very powerful crit set going. I'm really happy to see another Capsakid in my shop because it's so contested in this lobby. I'm definitely not going to roll for it because getting a Capsakid versus the evolution skill villain really isn't a big difference. I'm kind of using him just for his dish. But if I can naturally roll into it, I guess naturally find it, then that is awesome. I see another Snom, which is great. I like seeing it because I have a cute little skin on it that I found in the card shop. But I do get a King's Rock. So now my Aerodactyl is very, very tanky, giving me plenty of time to smack him with my little ice caterpillar in the back. It would be nice to find a Dewpider. I guess Caterpie could work as well. Dewpider is obviously better, but it would give me Amorphous and Bug, giving me 2 Snoms. But I'm going against Thomas Wang with a filthy, all creamy Amorphous Gourmet. I can't judge him too much because this is what I was kind of going for too, but I didn't get it. As you can see, it's super polarizing if you can get it going. He only has a 1-star Vanillish, but looks like he power leveled to 8. He is very low in health, so that's definitely a smart decision. And look at that, I got a Scovillain, pretty lucky. I do a little bit of rolling just to see if I can hit my, Frostmoth, but end up not seeing it. It definitely would have been a huge power spike for me if I did manage to find it, just because Frostmoth has a surprising amount of AD. I'm not quite sure why they gave it so much. It's like a little fragile, dainty ice moth, but definitely not complaining. I think it's 20 AD, I believe, and around 40 something speed, so not the fastest Pokemon, but with the curry, it'll definitely do the job. Fight against Monty's team again, and this time it looks like my front row is a lot tankier, so I managed to take down his team before he could take down mine. As you can see, his entire front row is unevolved, which is why I was able to melt through it so quickly. Unfortunately for me, I didn't realize that because I had Gourmet 4 deactivated and I have 3 items on Aerodactyl now, I'm now giving him the curry dish, which he's still a pretty strong attacker, but I would much rather my Snom with the powerful 80 items be the one getting the dish. It looks like I haven't fully realized that yet. Hopefully I make that change soon. By the way, I have the Alolan Grimer and the Grimer on my bench because I happen to pick up both of them, which isn't the easiest thing sometimes because they're regional variants, but I have both, so they're both going to give me Poison and Amorphous, and if I find a Ghastly later on, then I can get Poison 3 active and do a transition into Amorph 7. Ghastly also has pretty high AD, so at some point it even is an option to transfer all my attack items onto Ghastly. I don't pick up the Bonsly here because at this point I'm pretty sure that it's not going to be a staple on my team. And there are a lot of Amorphous portals going on, so pretty easy for me to get one. I hop into one immediately. It's nice that there's a rock symbol on there too, because it gives me a higher chance for Nihilego, which would be pretty sick. Would also allow me to only play one of the Grimers to get Poison 3 with Ghastly. But looks like I have a Manaphy, which I don't have any water or aquatic yet, so I pick Regirock pretty quickly. I guess I didn't have to think too much about that. It also alleviates me from having to find my Shieldon, as obviously Regirock is the better rock fossil unit. So now my front line is looking extremely tanky, and I like Snom a lot, so this means I can continue to play Snom. And after one more roll, I do find my Frostmoth, which is impeccable timing. I'm able to stay at 50 gold, and looks like I still haven't realized that my Aerodactyl is the one getting the curry. So there you go. Thank you. Yep, I decided to switch my positioning around just so that I can keep Scoville in the second row. And I faced Lost Psychic team, and he crits the ever-loving shit out of my entire team. He has a very cool team with Love Disc on it, which means that even though everything's Psychic type, it's still sharing the choice specs with the Kirlia with the full crit cast combo. I actually still almost beat him because of that Assault Vest that I slammed earlier. But alas, he did crit my team. I think that RNG is pretty, it can be fickle because if he ends up not critting there, I think I just win him. I just win pretty easily. But he did crit. I think with those items, it's like a maximum greed combo where you have mana generation with the scope lens, and you have extra damage with the Razor Fang, I mean. But the crit chance in return isn't super high. It's probably like 40% or 50, something like that. So definitely a coin flip, but if it does crit, it's pretty deadly. Facing this artificial team again, and they don't have any Rocky Helmets or Shiny Charms, so I'm able to just blast through their team. That's why adding Capsic into the lobby kind of just changes the entire landscape. Even if you don't play it, it becomes a very polarizing force that you definitely have to address or you will get steamrolled. Luckily, I see that Thomas got knocked out. He seems like a great guy and he's a fantastic player, but I was pretty scared of the team he was building. So I'm pretty glad that he doesn't have a chance to scale and stabilize a little bit more. There are some pretty solid options here. Green Orb could be fine because my front row is so tanky, but Sticky Barb, I'm playing Rock. It's a pretty obvious choice here. There are a lot of Amorphous teams which will be attacking very quickly, which means that those Sticky Barb procs are going to be happening a lot more often. I opt for a level 8 roll down here. I see a Shieldon, but it's a little bit too late. There's no way I'm activating Fossil 4 at this point. I don't have the space on my team for it. So, kind of just take a breather, don't roll any further than 20 gold. And if I manage to win this, I could sell the Corsola and the, looks like I sold it already, but Corsola could be also a strong rock unit. If it dies, it becomes ghost type, which could fit pretty well with the Misdreavus if I do end up finding it. I'm not banking on Misdreavus though. If I find it, I find it, but again, there's I think only like between 5 and 8 copies of it in the entire pool. So, and luckily enough for me, I faced against another Amorphous player who was building another pretty strong team. He had a lot of Miss Magiuses, and so hopefully after his death, I'll be able to pick up some of those. I think his team looked really strong on paper, but it didn't work out super well because he put all his items on his Mimikyu, which Mimikyu is a pretty strong tank. It has like a built-in shiny charm, which is amazing, especially in this lobby. So he had a pretty good matchup, but because he slammed all those items, his Deoxys was unitemized, and in Amorphous, you really do rely on a strong backline carry to do a lot of DPS. Looks like Ares' fighting team has transitioned to, or not I think they just maybe missed a fighting portal, or maybe decided that at Fighting 8 they could afford to slot in an Articuno. It kind of backfires on them though, because Articuno does set the hail weather, which slows the attack speed of every non-ice Pokemon in the game. So my Frostmoth is ice type, so he's kind of just nerfing his own team, while my team kind of gets to get away scot-free with my main damage dealer chillin'. I finally find a Dewpider after a long time, probably due to some of the Amorphous players getting taken out. It was added back into the pool, so I'm definitely glad to see that. Now I can have 2 Frostmoths on the board, which because I don't have full Amorphous, so it's not going to be super impactful, but the ability does provide a lot of CC, so definitely a net positive there. Also, if you look, I do have Rock 4, which means I get some Weather Rocks. I do have a Heat Rock and an Ice Rock. Heat Rock especially is pretty amazing, especially for me right now, because it gives my entire team extra AD. Which means every Pokemon on my team that's also boosted by Amorphous also gets additional attack, which is amazing. Because Amorphous does not provide attack, only health and attack speed. This is kind of a tough choice. I think Punching Glove and Aqua Egg are objectively the better items, but the reason I go for the Wide Lens is because my Frostmoth, or whatever Pokemon I have with those items, is my main source of damage, so if that Mon dies, I'm pretty much screwed. And having a Wide Lens on my Scovillain gives me an extra Mon to sit in the back, which might allow me to tank an Ice Cream Cone cast, or maybe block a Kadabra auto attack. Here I take out Kaploop. His team was really sick with the Gourmet 5 Rapidash, but it was a really bad matchup for him because I have a Scovillain as well, and so I kind of burst on that Rapidash before it can do much. If you pause and go back though, you can see like the Rapidash's first auto attack it did on me did like I think almost 200 damage, which is absurd. I finally find 2 Misdreavuses, which is pretty awesome. I don't slot it in yet because unless I have a Miss Magius, I would rather have the Frostmoth in. Plus I have Ice and Bug active as well, so wouldn't want to let go of that just yet. Monty positions very smart against me. He puts a Shiny Charmed Eel right in front of all my damage dealers, which kind of negates the entire damage of my Curry boosted Frostmoth, and that allows him to take my team out pretty easily. And after scouting him, dude, his board looks absolutely insane. Like, look at all those synergies. He filled it out pretty well, so props to him. And at this point, I am top 3, but the other 2 players are extremely strong. I I think I can beat Law if he doesn't crit on his cast, so it's really a 50-50. But very smartly, he denies me the power lens because he is playing Psychic. And I end up picking up the Gracidia, which is equally good. Gives my main damage dealer a little bit more attack speed. It's kind of funny seeing his tanky Kadabra, but it's because he's sharing those stats with his love through the love disc to his Curlia to make it a little stronger. He also has a front row Jirachi, so he definitely low rolled a little bit on his unique pick. I think having like a Deoxys defense would have made a much bigger difference. And as you can see, I'm pretty sure he didn't crit me there with his Curlia, so my Frostmoth survives and takes out the rest of his team. Looks like Monty survives as well, to no surprise. He's a very powerful Amorphous team. And here, this is a huge pivotal decision I make. Because it's a PvE round, I'm able to give my Misdreavus a Curry. I wouldn't have done that if the next round was PvP, because starting the round off with no Curry would not be fun at all. Honestly, the Frostmoth and Miss Maggie's are pretty comparable. Like, these people I'm facing aren't super tanky to the point where I need the true damage cast. I think the CC from Frostmoth actually might be a little bit better. But the reason I put Misdreavus is because it has Amorphous synergy. So, as you can see, I do pick up another Grimer to slot in a Morph 5 once I can power level to 9. But it looks like I don't need to because I end up finding a Ghastly in my shop right away. So after a few more rolls, I save the Ditto and I do natural roll into a Misdreavus. And now I'm looking for another Ghastly to get a Haunter. But looks like that wasn't in the cards. I do a quick positioning shift after scouting. I don't want to fall victim to that Shiny Charm again. And so I move my Pokemon around, Ghastly on the side so that it doesn't get splashed by anything. And looks like it works out very well. He positioned his Miss Maggie is very far on the, I guess, his left side, which is a very smart position to put it if my mons are bunched in the corner. But in this case, because I switched last second, I guess it caught him off guard a little bit. And I think Law faced my Ghost, and I took him out as well. So that's the game. This game really was a matter of being patient, making smart decisions, and playing a synergy that you can see a long-term vision for. A lot of that comes with experience. Like in this case, I knew that Rock had a really nice matchup against the other Amorphous teams, as well as the fighting team. Usually Rock's problem is that it is very tanky but has no real damage. In this case, I mitigate that because I do have a Capsicid and Gourmet synergy active, so I kind of avoid that weakness of it, making it extremely viable in this lobby. And it worked out pretty well. Law definitely got a little bit unlucky as well with his rolls and unknowns, maybe, because he definitely could have had a Gardevoir if he was just a little bit luckier. Because, as you can see, he sold his other Curlia to repurpose those items onto the Gothitelle, which is a strong unit for sure, but against a lobby with so much burst, it's definitely not as useful as a Gardevoir, which could just one-shot all the carries that the opponent has. So, I hope you enjoyed, and I'm actually going to add on a second video to this, a second clip of an Amorphous game I played too. Nothing crazy about the comp. Amorphous always is a puzzle, so that could be fun, but it is a very contested game where a lot of players are going Amorphous, so I thought I didn't want to make a separate video about it, so I'll throw it in here. I'll see you soon. Hello, welcome back for the Amorphous game. Yeah, honestly, a lot of times in high elo, if there are Amorphous ads, like if one person wants to play Amorphous, and there are some like dupe hiders in or like Misdreavus or anything like that, the whole lobby basically converges on Amorph as like a pack of hungry wolves, and everyone's trying to play it. And this is one of those lobbies, so I do go a little AFK in the beginning so I don't pick a portal. I think I was peeing or something, but we're back, and well, we're back soon. Hopefully I pick something before. Okay, I guess I was just peeing for a while. To be fair, this lobby loaded pretty quickly, so I don't really blame myself for thinking I had time. Not the worst item components. I guess I came back right at that exact second, so kind of miss out on maybe creating some pairs. Maybe I would have had a Dolive, but Dolive's pretty useless unless you have something going for it, like Gourmet or normal. Not a big deal though. I have half of a crit cast combo, which is okay to see. Recently I've said this before, but I haven't been a huge fan of crit cast as AP because it's pretty easily countered by Rock and Rocky Helmet. So I do pick up a Charcoal because I think the AD version of crit is definitely stronger than like spell crit. I think it's just more consistent because spell crit is still pretty decent. But yeah, I have a couple pairs, so definitely have some options. I'm thinking about picking up that chest pin as well, which I do end up doing. This is where like a lot of player bias can show, because I'm sure a lot of players would have rather died than sell that horsey, especially like people who like playing dragons and water. But I like playing grass, so I pick up a grass Pokemon instead. Still pretty unclear about what direction I'm going. I guess I end up picking up that horsey anyways because I see potential for a water start. I don't really know what I'm doing yet, but water is something that actually works better than other synergies with crit cast because you generate PP naturally, so you don't have to worry about waiting too long. In this case, I actually craft a pretty interesting item set. You don't see this super often, but it's just a Scope Lens Razor Claw. And I think it's really strong. It doesn't do the most damage, but it's very disruptive. As you can see, that Charmander wasn't even close to casting because I stole all this mana. Wasn't enough. I think or do I win this? I do not win this, so I have to sell a Caterpie. Pretty close battle though. Having water active early is good because, especially if I don't know what I'm doing yet, because I can fish and get a little bit more econ or maybe build towards a Gyarados. But so far it looks like this might begrudgingly become a water game. I think water is pretty cool. I think it's fun, but like, dude, gambling on getting the Gyarados is just so painful sometimes. Like, it's basically luck, and if you can't find your Gyarados by like a healthy time, then it's pretty rough. I do see a couple of Amorph ads, and the combo that I crafted, the Razor Claw Scope Lens, it's not amazing in every comp. Like, it really sucks in certain comps, especially if I'm playing water. It's pretty terrible because I'm already creating so much generating mana or PP from my synergy. So having that much while also doing 0 damage is not amazing, but in other comps like Sound could like it because you can cast a lot more often and you get speed buffs. Or maybe Amorphous especially is really good because you get attack speed buffs, which means you attack super often and prevent the opponents from ever casting. And I am able to put in Dragon 3 here, but decide not to. I'd rather just sell my Bagon and hit Econ, which I think I do here. It could be good on fighting too if you have a backline carry to take advantage, because fighting kind of shrugs off auto attacks with the damage reduction. So preventing them from casting is pretty solid. Looks like I am lose streaking this game, which is kind of unavoidable. Maybe I could have done something if I wasn't peeing for the first minute of the game and maybe got some stronger Pokemon, but maybe the game just wanted me to lose streak this time. So fine by me. I see some nice Psychic Gets too. This item combo actually isn't terrible on Psychic either, because Psychic gives you ability power and you're really struggling to cast super often. So if I can get Spell Crit, then that could actually be pretty decent. I get a lot of cast off. Here I don't actually buy this Prinplup because I'm already lose streaking. There's not really any point in dipping below 40 just to hit that stronger unit. I'd rather lose anyways and get the extra loss streak gold. And I'm pretty sure that wouldn't have helped me anyways here against Crisp. So, pretty happy with that decision. I have a lot of water units now, so it looks like the game is pushing me in that direction. And I have a healthy amount of Magikarps as well, but I'm still not quite sure if that's really what I want to do, because water does not work very well with these items. See some more Amorphous adds in, and I could have picked up the Magnet to make a full auto attacking crit cast combo, but I figure I'll probably get that anyways later. I'd rather just have a max revive in there, just to tank a little more. Looks like Benetto's doing some digging, so hoping he doesn't find anything. Kind of preying on his downfall. But we actually pick up our first win in a while. Looks like he has also been on a lose streak, which water and ground are two synergies that are really nice to have while lose streaking, because water you can get some fishing done while you're losing, and ground you can get some digging done while you're losing, which can both pay off pretty well. Lucky for me, I've been pretty good about my econ in this game, so I'm able to stay at 50 as well as do a few rolls and hit level 5. And here I actually just sub in Amorphous. It kind of hurts because I do have a lot of Magikarps. I definitely could still splash in water and get a Gyarados later, even if I do go Amorphous, especially if I have something like a Pyukumuku. So I do put in Amorphous to generate a portal. Looks like Monty's going for some babies, and he has a bug gem, which is pretty neat. I think bug gem's one of the best gems, just because there are a couple pretty decent bugs in the game, and being able to get an extra copy of them without having to commit another weak bug on your team can be super useful. Especially if you're playing like field or maybe wild if you have a pincer. But I get my Amorphous portal, which I'm very happy about. Also has that artificial symbol that I stole from someone else. I haven't done an arty check yet, so and my Amorphous Pokemon is Pincurchin. I'll have to see if I'm in a Dynamo region, because if I am, that could be fine. Doing a little bit of scouting just to see what... I'm trying to do an arty check real quick, just to see if it's worth going for the Iron Thorns. Because these items would also work pretty decently on Electric. I have not been able to check, so I just put in the Pincurchin, and now I'm going for Amorphous. I do craft a max revive here, give it to my Pincurchin for a little bit more tankiness. Man, Cast Form would have been actually so sick here. I probably would have given him my items and he would have been water. and he would have given my team so much mana. But then again, I am trying to steer away from water, so maybe not the worst thing. Looks like Dim Sum is going Ghost, which is a little bit scary. Luckily, Amorphous usually does pretty well against Ghost because while Ghost excels at locking down individual targets, Amorphous has team-wide buffs, so everything on your team is doing a lot of damage. So kind of mitigate some of Ghost curses in that regard. Trying to think what I should go here. Checking to see what other players are playing. As you can see, a lot of Amorphous players. I end up going for the Pokédoll, which on its own I think isn't the strongest item, but I have a max revive, and the one issue sometimes I have with max revive is that sometimes, like, if your Pokemon dies while it's respawning, their Pokemon can come in and just destroy your backline before it even revives. And so because of that, Pokédoll is really nice with it because once it revives, any opponents that are nearby and currently not targeting anything will immediately target the revived Pokemon, which kind of makes it a little more consistent. Looks like that's working out pretty well here. Pokédoll is actually a pretty underrated item if you have the right combination for it, especially if you have like a Power Lens or Sticky Barb. Like, forcing everyone to attack you is pretty nice. Let's see, I believe I grabbed the Magnet here, yep. So because I'm playing Amorphous, Amorphous really does not, it's not a comp where you want to prioritize casting. Because it doesn't give you anything. I guess the attack speed could help you cast a little bit faster, but what you really want is heavy attack damage. And because of that, I'm really not valuing Spell Crit here. I'd rather have the Razor Fang. So I power level to 7 because by doing so I can hit a more 5, which is a decent power spike. Not quite sure what I was thinking about here. But luckily I do remember to slam my item set. I think I was thinking about maybe selling the Horsey and slamming the items on my Vanillish. But I think I would like to keep Vanillish, and later on these items would go onto my Legendary, hopefully, if I don't get Melmetal. But because of that, I just keep them on Horsey, which looks like it's doing pretty well. Pink Urchin actually tops the damage charts with 0 offensive items. Big Web's playing like a pretty funky comp right now. I'm really not sure what he's trying to go for. Look, he's not doing too bad though. He's still pretty healthy, so we'll have to see what that evolves into. I give up on Gyarados just because I don't think I'll have Water 3 active for a while, if ever. But I do keep the Poliwags on my bench because I do see that Clobopus, I believe, is in, which has Aquatic Fighting, which fits perfectly with my Poliwag. So if I do find that, that'll be an extra 2 bumps of Amorphous, and I would be very happy with that. Facing Waterell, who looks like she has, I used to think Waterell was a girl because of the Glaceon, but he looks like he's going Ghost. Ghost Poison, which is really cool. Fuecoco is putting in some serious work. Wow, and I actually almost take it out. Pink Urchin really is a beast. I really was not expecting that. That team looks pretty strong too, with a Chatot and a tanky frontline. And I finally find my Clobopus. So I'm really thinking about finding a nice time to sell my Horsey off for something else. I also am 1 off from activating Dragon Synergy, so if I do decide to save my econ and then power level to 8, that would also be a very strong power spike, giving me a lot more synergies. So we get some nice options for our Mew and Mewtwo fight. For Amorphous, you definitely want to be seeing Magnets and Charcoals. I do already have my full offensive set crafted, but every Pokemon's getting boosted when you're playing Amorphous, so really not too bad to itemize a secondary carry as well. Able to pick up that Clobbopus and slot in a Poliwag, but I decide that Horsey is probably the better carry for now, and I would rather keep things the way they are. I'm not doing too bad, I'm winning half my fights, so I'm not at a point where I'm feeling a little bit desperate to hit a huge power spike. I would like to save my econ and level as soon as I can though, because a lot of players are going to be going for the same units this game. There's only like a limited pool of ad picks, plus finding a Ghastly is a big priority for me. Yeah, that Piloswine is just so tanky, and I'm unable to break through it before their chat talk confuses my team. So that's a bit sad, but Amorphous actually doesn't do too bad against sound. It has a lot of burst damage up front, so I don't know why I'm tweaking out a little bit here. I think I'm thinking about power leveling, but oh, you know what it was? I clicked an extra. I wasn't trying to go down under 50, and I didn't want to sell anything on my team, so I kind of just waste one econ here because I have fat fingers. And here is another Amorphous team using a Piloswine as a temporary tank. And my Pink Urchin's pretty tanky too, but I just get demolished by Monty. And I'm sitting at a very sad last place. Usually I wouldn't be too worried because Amorphous scales really well, and overall I haven't rolled too much. My econ is not terrible, but everyone else also is playing Amorphous too, so they're gonna scale just as well as me, if not better. So I kind of have to step it up here if I want to have a chance at not being eliminated early. Because of that, even though we're close to legendary the Ho-Oh and Lugia, I decided to level to 8 just to save as much health as I can, as level 8 is a big power spike for me here. I'm not going for a Morph 7 just yet, but I do have a Thunderstone, and maybe I shouldn't have committed to it because unless I get like a Regieleki, it would be a little more difficult to slot it in. One big thing to keep in mind about playing Amorphous is that, first of all, dragons are very good on Amorphous because if you have Dragon 3, everything is doubling their secondary synergies, which can give you a lot more bumps. But the thing is, unless you have an Amorphous unit as your unique and legendary, or if you have a dragon for either one, then you're not going to be able to slot in dragon while having a Morph 7, unless you get like a dragon scale or something. So that's why hitting your portals is super important when you're playing Amorphous. Thankfully, because I leveled to 8, I am a lot stronger and managed to beat out Crisp. And Water also is now active because of my Horsey. Kind of sad, it's just been a Horsey the whole time. Haven't been able to find a Seadra, which actually probably would have made a big difference. But because I'm so weak, I decided to do a little bit more rolling. Maybe it would have been good to put in the Snorunt there. Snorunt's a really nice 3-range carry, as I talked about in the previous clip. But there we go, we actually find a Ghastly. Not enough time to put it in, but still a great find nonetheless. And because my unique was Pink Urchin, If I do find, I guess, either a Dragon Legendary or in a Amorph Legendary, then I'll be able to use Dragons as well, which, if no one else does that, then that would definitely give me an edge over the rest of the Amorphous players. This team actually is looking pretty strong too. Upgrade can be like a funky item sometimes, but it's pretty good on Morphous because you do start with extra attack speed, which allows you to stack that upgrade much faster than you otherwise would be able to. So we managed to make it to Ho-Oh and Lugia without losing any more health, which is very nice. I think one of the biggest things that's helped me climb a lot more, and the biggest thing I've improved on, is knowing when you need to power level or power roll for stronger units. I used to be like a strictly late game econ guy where I would refuse to roll or power level until I hit like a comfortable point where I could do so while not wasting too much econ. But I would lose so many games just because I'd stay weak and my team would have so much potential. Like maybe if I survived for a few more rounds, I'd be able to top 1 that game, but because I was so frugal, I wasn't able to stay alive. And so that's why that roll down there where I power leveled to 8 and did a few rolls, that was super impactful. I probably would have lost some of those matchups if I hadn't done that, and that would have put me way at the bottom, like 1 life away from losing. I would have had better econ and I would have been set up better for late game, but one unlucky loss would have eliminated me, and other players who have more econ than me, like Waterell in first place, that would have been a pretty bad situation. So I have a lot of unique picks I can choose from. Nihilego, I can't activate Rock, and I don't think there's any other Poison Amorphous ad picks, so it would kind of be dead weight in terms of its synergies. Deoxys, I could go for that and go for a Solosis, but I don't have that yet, and so I really need to have a big power spike right away instead of waiting for a Solosis. I could have gone for like the Marksman Deoxys. I think that actually would have been just as good of a choice, but this is the route I ended up going. I have that Ghastly, so Ghost is immediately, I guess I have Ghost 3 now, but I also drop the Dragons. And after selling a lot of stuff, I'm actually close to 50 gold again. Yeah, I think going back, I definitely could have. Wow, look at that Vanillish, the Vanillux actually sniping my Darkrai even though it moved. But yeah, I definitely could have gotten Deoxys. That was an option. It just was a risk I didn't want to take because sometimes these Ultras would be kind of hard to find, like Solosis. So didn't want to take that gamble. I've done that in the past where I set myself up really well for one more mon that I need to find to really get to a strong point, and then I end up not finding it for a while, wasting all my econ and going 8th. So definitely learned my lesson from that. I actually still have a Prinplup in, which is only giving me ice, and because of that I sub it out and I'm able to put a Shinx in for Electric 3. Sadly, my Darkrai's items are pretty full, so I'm not able to put Electric on him. But Ghastly is a pretty good AD too, even though he's 2-range and his ability is more utility. As you can see, he almost does as much damage as my full crit cast Darkrai, which is very impressive for a 1-stage Ghastly. I'm still not quite sure what Big Wef's going for. I think maybe he's just trying to be creative and try something new. Like, it could be like a Cursula showcase just to test the limits of how strong that mon is. But looks like he's not doing too well post T20. Maybe he misses Portal. But there is a Ghost player in the lobby, and so I prioritize picking up the Ability Shield. Amorphous does a lot of burst damage, and so Ghost isn't a big deal unless it fully locks down your strongest Pokemon. In this case, Darkrai for sure would have gotten absolutely blasted with curses. So Instead of going for a frontline ability shield, I'm aiming to put it on the back so my Darkrai can survive. Water Owl also has Ghost Splash in his Amorphous team, and so I don't want Darkrai to succumb to any debilitating statuses. So that looks pretty good. Ghastly's also protected as well, so they are both pretty safe. Actually looks like, yeah, Water Owl goes 4, so I think that reduces the attack of one Pokemon. I think Ability Shield blocks that. If it doesn't, definitely correct me in the comments, but either way, there is, I think, another Ghost player, so happy to pick that up anyways to give my backline a little bit more defense. And I'm very happy to also win against Water Owl. I think it just came down to my Darkrai CCing their team a little bit more to give me more time, because their team definitely looked stronger than mine. It's actually funny, my Ghastly actually out damages my Darkrai there. Oh, you know why? I think I know why. It's because they had very strong Amorphous going, so everything on their team had a lot of health. And because I have that Punching Glove and Electric Synergy active, those electric triple attacks doing max health damage are probably what put Ghastly over the edge. Which is still really funny, seeing him out damage my fully itemized Darkrai. Now we're against Bonetto. His team looks so strong. He has his Wailord, he has strong backline mons, and Sound actually counters Darkrai pretty well because Sound cries wake up your team, so he can't put them to sleep, which is pretty sad. Looks like Water Owl beats out Monty as well, which is a good sign for me. At this point, you can see that everyone's trying to go for Ghastly. It's a very hot commodity. And I actually realized that because I have Darkrai and Pink Urchin as both Amorphous, I do have room to slot in a little bit of Dragon. I probably wouldn't have done that if I didn't have a Dynamo, because I'm able to replace the Shinx and have it act and still have Electric 3, because I don't have any other Electric Amorphous, and obviously there's no Electric Dragons I could take. So that also plays a big part in my decision. But if I have a Dino, I can get Dark 3 active with my Darkrai, and that would be fantastic. Looks like I'm going to go ahead and do that right away. I just need to find one more dragon. I pick up a nice Ditto as well, which is fantastic. So, yep, drop that. Drop the Clobbopus. I don't have any fighting mons, so... and I have to take out one of my ground mons now, which is a little bit sad. They're both fully evolved, but look at that. Immediately, a huge power spike in overall strength. So, I'm against Crisp. Steel really is not going to do well into Amorphous. Like, Steel is based on heavy attack damage, burst, but Amorphous does that better. And you get health buffs, which do well against true damage. So, Crisp is taken out there. Klinklang also, in my opinion, isn't the strongest unit. I actually do realize that Ice isn't being activated, so my Vanillish in the back was kind of just being dead weight. And so I sell that off, and as you can see, immediately I have a lot more synergy bumps, as well as having ground back. I do a little bit of scouting and reposition my team so that my ground Pokemon are on their spots. And I'm actually able to get a Haunter with some very lucky Dittos, but I'm just a little bit too slow. Hopefully that's not the difference maker here, but I am against Monty, who Water Owl already beat. And so hopefully my team also can do pretty well against them. Looks like both of them have the Psychic route going. And this is a very close battle. It's my Darkrai against their Mew. The Mew's attacking very quickly, but looks like it's not enough. And my Darkrai manages to knock out Monty. Not too much really to get here. I guess the best option would be I do pick up the X-ray, but I think if I were to go back, I'd probably get the Stardust just for a little more defense. Like, I don't think Zweilous is doing that much damage anyways, so a little bit more defense on the Pink Urchin would have been pretty nice. But I do a little bit more scouting, rearrange my team. I leave Palossand on an island just so he can sit on that little patch of ground there for some more stats. But I do have a couple awkward synergies. Like I have Aquatic 5, I have Ghost 3. Looking back, one thing I could have done is try to go for a Vibrava. Thankfully I take out Water Out here, and I actually win against Bonetto as well, which is pretty surprising. I think the big difference probably was my Haunter. Even though Darkrai does pretty poorly against Sound, Haunter does very, very well because his team-wide cast gives everyone fatigue. But what I was saying is that I think a Vibrava would have been really nice here because I would have been able to drop Dratini, and because Dratini, I guess, it is giving me flying, but Vibrava would give me one bump of ground, and then I could put something else in, another Amorphous Pokemon over the Palossand or the Sandaconda, because I already have one ground from the Vibrava. Plus, Bug is really nice to have in Amorphous, just because the Bug's also getting the benefits of all your buffs. I'm playing against Sound, so I pick up the Power Lens, which works pretty well, as I said before, with the Pokédoll. And this time I do kind of forgo leaving the Palossand in the hole. Just to have a little bit better of a positioning around Bonetto's Sound team, which is on the right side. There's not too much I could really go for here. Like Swallow wouldn't do too much for me, but his team looks really strong, so I'm kind of curious to see how I managed to take him down. And yeah, it looks like Haunter is putting in some serious work. Like you can see his backline right now, they are barely casting because of my Haunter's cast. And just like that, going from last place to first against a full lobby of Amorphous monsters and Bonetto's very strong Sound team. I think here it came down to having really nice items. As you can see, Waterell has a full AP set on the Manaphy, which would be a very nice Manaphy set, but in this case, you really want AD items for Amorphous, because the cast is strong, but you're not going to be casting that much more often than any other synergy, especially if you're playing like Water or something like that. So that's one thing to remember. If you are playing Amorphous, go for those heavy AD items. It doesn't have to be crit cast. It could just be like a X-ray plus Red Orb, anything along those lines. But that's the game. I hope you enjoyed it, and I have a few more videos too that I'm planning, and so make sure you're on the lookout for that. But I will see you next time. Bye.